Hello again, and welcome to Lesson 29's Writing Sentences 2, where we are going to be looking at words with more than one syllable that use qu. But as you can see from our title, that QUE spelling can occasionally come from a different language where it is said in a different way. An antique question gives you right next door to each other using QUE for k and then qu, which is what we know. And you may also be asking yourself, what on earth is an antique question? Well, have you ever heard the phrase, same old, same old? When somebody is objecting again and again and again, and not getting the answer they wanted to hear. That gives you a wee tip about the contents of this story. So let's get started. Let's take a look first of all at the vowel choices we will be using. If we hear A at the end of a syllable or all on its own in a syllable, we write the letter A. Middle of a word, a consonant E, or A-I. If we hear E at the end of a syllable or all on its own in a syllable, we write the letter E. Middle of a word, first choice is double E. E-A. E consonant E is last, and sometimes we use double E at the end of a word, but it isn't the first choice. I, end of a syllable or all on its own in a syllable, we write the letter I. Middle of a word, I consonant E. And sometimes I-G-H. O at the end of a syllable or all on its own in a syllable, we write O. Middle of a word, O consonant E or O-A. And at the end of a word, O-W. U at the end of a syllable or all on its own in a syllable, we write the letter U in a word, U consonant E. U or oo we write with a double O. And or, A-U or A-W. Ow. O-U or O-W. Let's take a look at our story. Oh, somebody is not very happy. Maybe you feel a little bit like this chap. Hopefully, as we get started, everybody will end up a bit happier. Let's write our title. We'll start with an antique. An. Capital A, N for N, and antique begins in the same way. And then tie, quee. could be the spelling language you use. An antique. Something that is very old. Question. Qua est? Qua. And this time we use the spelling we know. Estion. Or question if you prefer. An antique question. And the very first sentence may come as a bit of a surprise. I quit. Speech marks. And the word I quit. Quit. And yes, we do need that exclamation mark. Close quotes. Now at the moment, we don't know who said it. Our next sentence is a new paragraph. A quiet hush filled the room. If somebody yelled, I quit, I think everybody would go quiet. So new paragraph, quiet. So, quiet. And then we have hush. Filled the room. So fill, double L at the end, and then we had suffix ed. Filled the room. Room. And a full stop. Now the next sentence is all about the people in the room. But we're going to use the word folks, which often means our parents. So maybe there are parents and parents' parents. But it can also mean a community. The folks there had been aware of the raised tones of a squabble. Okay, now I don't think we're going to fit it all on this page, so we'll start with the folks. The and then folks, bit like folks, folks, but we say folks, so that can be a bit confusing. There, and this is talking about a place, so there every rat eats as our spelling. Had been, B will have the double E spelling for the E. Where, with an A consonant E spelling. Where, with an A consonant E spelling. Of the raised tones. Okie dokie. Of the raised. And in raised we have a different spelling for A, A-I. So raise, we've dropped the E to add suffix ed. And tones, we have the O consonant E spelling. The raised tones of a squabble. So not a huge fight. Of a. We've got squaw, S-Q-U-A, B, and then bull. And we add an E when we see an L blend at the end. Squab, bull. And we have a comma. Oh! Squabble. Now, this picture of these birds reminds us of a squabble, yes. But there are two birds squabbling. That reminds us of the double B in squabble. But no one thought Quentin, so quite a long sentence. We'll just put, but no one thought. But no, N-O, we spell it like a syllable. One, oh naughty elephant, thought. My teeth are on my tongue. And then, yep, we have an ugly green Hulk word. No one thought. Quentin. We can hear qu at the beginning, capital Q, because it's a name. Quen, and then tin. So we can hear the sounds that tell us exactly which letters to write. Would, an unhappy little duckling word. Would quit. The next sentence gives us a little bit of an idea. He liked to win. Okay, so they must be playing some sort of a game. Now, in this story, I'm not actually going to say what sort of game it was, because I thought you might like to add that information. So we're just going to write, he liked to win to begin with. He liked, and the word like, we drop the E to add suffix ed, to win. Now we have an exclamation mark, but you, if you like, could finish at the end of win and then add at, whatever your game is, before you put the exclamation mark. Your choice. New paragraph. He stormed out of the room. Oh dear. Right, so he. And then we have storm, and we've added suffix ed. Storm. Stormed out, using our ow spelling, of the. room. Not a happy bunny. Oh, we have a picture of the earth. I wonder why that's there. Maybe it has something to do with the next words. What on earth was that about? So now we know what on earth. Somebody else speaking, so new paragraph and speech marks. What? An A, like what? On earth. And we can see that earth looks a bit like ear with a th sound at the end. What on earth was that about? Was the teeth on my tongue that about ow with O-U and a question mark. Asked Dad, who had rushed through. He must have been in a different room. Asked Dad. And ask with suffix ed, yes it is, even though it sounded like t. Who had rushed? And another word where suffix ed sounds a bit like t. Rushed. Suffix ed. Through. Another oh ugly green Hulk word. Okay. New paragraph. Same old question. Nothing unique, answered Mum. Right, so speech marks and same old question. Same, A consonant E, old, quest, ion, question, full stop, and then nothing will fit here, I think. We'll put unique on the next page. No thing. Nothing. No thing. Unique. You, nigh, qui. Nothing unique. In other words, it's not a new argument. Answered Mum. And answer, we can think an swur before we add ed. Answered or answered when we're speaking, Mum. And a full stop. His request is almost as old as an antique. Okay, So here we find out that this is something he keeps asking about. Speech marks again, but we don't need to go down for a new line, a new paragraph. It's still Mum speaking. And here we can see two antiques. Very different from how we listen to music or phone people today. His request. His request is almost as old as an antique. Is almost, which looks a bit like almost, because there's just one L, as old as an antique. And then antique starts the same. Antique can be your spelling language if you like. So the exclamation mark lets us know how exasperated Mum is at getting the same request each time. He wants to go with me, but he's not old enough. He wants to go. He and wants is a bit like wa. It's that wa again that we spell W-A. To go with me. What? With your teeth on your tongue. Me, and then a comma. But he's short for he is, so we have an apostrophe. Not old. And I think we're going to need to put enough on the next page. Oh, ugly green Hulk. Another use the Hulk word. And speech marks. And that is the end of what Mum is saying. I wonder who's speaking next. Almost, but not quite, is an uncomfortable place to be, agreed Quentin's big brother. Okay, so now we know who that was. New person speaking, new paragraph. Almost, almost, it looks like. There is no double L. Almost, comma, but not quite. And quite, we can hear quite. After the qu, we have an I consonant E spelling. Is an uncomfortable. Is an and then we have for table. And bull at the end of a word, we add an E. Is an uncomfortable place, to be. We have a comma and speech marks. And place, did you spot that ace word and write a C? Well done. Agreed. Agree with a double E. Quentin's. Do we have an apostrophe S? Because Quentin's brother belongs to him as a brother. Big brother. Big. You might like to start it with brother. Brother. And that spelling language lets you know where we get the phrase bro from. New paragraph. That looks like a face of somebody that realises how Quentin is feeling. It's a shame. But it goes on to say he quit the game. Okay. Oh, we've even got rhyming words. It's a shame. And an apostrophe. It, in this case, is short for it is. A shame. Aim. A consonant E spelling. He quit. Quit. The game. Another A-M-E spelling. Shame and game rhyme. Because, and here we'll take a little bit of an aside. Why are elephants good at adding? Here we go. Because, using the B, elephants can add using small elephants. It looks like he was winning. It looks like I consonant E. He was as simple. Winning. Comma and speech marks. Commented. Comment. And then suffix ed. Commented his sister. His sister. His sister. And then she adds, shall I finish it for him? Speech marks again. Shall, looks like all at the end. I finish it for him. And a question mark. So he was doing well. That wasn't the reason he quit. But before we get to finding out what happens, we have a cue. Cue. U, E, U, E. Q, U, E, U, E. Are you planning on starting another quarrel? Asked Dad. Get in the dinner queue instead. It's all ready. Okay. Speech marks and are you are rotten egg. You owe us. Planning. Plan, and then we double that N to add suffixing. On. Start. And then ing. Starting. An other, which we spell a bit like an off. An off. Another quarrel. Qua. And a double R-E-L. Quarrel. Speech marks and asked Dad. Asked. ED sounding like T. And then we have the word Dad. And he carries on speaking with a new sentence. Get in the dinner queue instead. Here we go. Speech marks. Get in the and dinner queue. Q, U-E, U-E. Instead. St. And then the ending. You're quite right. It doesn't look like ed, does it? Because there's an A there as well. We'll say steed. Instead. It's all ready. And ready is exactly the same. We hear but we write E-A. It's short for it is, so we do need an apostrophe. It's all ready. New paragraph for the very last sentence. Oh, and I think it must be about calling. Wonder who's calling who. As the tussle to be first began, must have been a good-looking meal, as the tussle, and we had an E because of that L blend at the end. To be first, to be first, first, began, comma, mum, could, another, oh unhappy little duckling word, could be heard, be heard. A he hard would be our spelling language. Mum could be heard calling Quentin's name. Calling. Quentin's, and an apostrophe because it is his name, it belongs to him. Quentin's name. Mum has obviously gone for a chat to explain things. And that is the end of our story. Now let's read it. An antique question. I quit. A quiet hush filled the room. The folks there had been aware of the raised tones of a squabble, but no one thought Quentin would quit. He liked to win. He stormed out of the room. What on earth was that about? Asked Dad, who had rushed through. Same old question, nothing unique, answered Mum. His request is almost as old as an antique. He wants to go with me, but he's not old enough. Almost, but not quite, is an uncomfortable place to be, agreed Quentin's big brother. It's a shame he quit the game, because it looks like he was winning, commented his sister. Shall I finish it for him? Are you planning on starting another quarrel? Asked Dad. Get in the dinner queue instead. It's all ready. As the tussle to be first began, Mum could be heard calling Quentin's name. And it looks like he got a hug as well. And then, I expect, he was encouraged to go down for his dinner. Now, you can decide to add extra details when you are typing up your story, or you can leave it as it is. and go and read it to somebody else. Thank you for joining me.